fellow woodworkers and makers of great things. Welcome to my shop. Good to have you back. Hey, I did something crazy. I bought a new truck. First time in almost 19 years. I had my old F-150 Lariat for 18 and a half years and finally had to let her go. Mechanically sound, beautiful truck, but unfortunately there was the frame was rotting. She was probably a couple of years from the crusher, but nothing I could take on any kind of a meaningful trip of any distance anymore. So I went out and got a new truck. Now, when you get a new truck, you got to take care of some business. And the biggest thing for me is I've got to have a bed divider. I've got to have something across the back of that bed so that I can load gas cans. I can load a case of water, soda, beer, plants, you name it, stuff that you want to get in the back of the truck. It's not a full load, but you don't want to slide all over the place and climb in and out to get it. So I've always had a bed divider. And my last truck, I had one with screw eyes that could handle some bungee cord. So I said, let me do the same thing on this one, but let me up the game and put some recessed hold downs on that thing, and you just make it a little better than the last one. So let me take you through that journey with me. It's nothing more than a piece of kiln dried 2x10 that I trimmed down to 8.5 in width, and the exact dimension of the length for the to accommodate the width of the bed. And I'll talk about that. Nothing special there. I planed it, I cut it, I rounded over the edges, and that's about it. So let's take a look. Let's get started. I'll show you how I put this thing together. So the idea is pretty simple. It's just a placement of 4 screw eyes along the top of the divider, and then 4 flush mounted ring pulls along the face of the divider, and that gives me ample space to secure anything that I want to put back there, especially stuff that I don't like moving or rolling or bouncing around, like gas cans and propane tanks and things like that. It just fits right into the provided slots in the truck bed and goes in and out in a snap. So that's all there is to the idea. Let me show you a little bit about how I put it together. First of all, it's good to have a helper in your shop at all times, somebody who is well adept at the use of hand tools for installing screw eyes, and helping you out. He's a good guy, likes to help us pop in the shop. And as an added bonus, as a double feature, he even helps me clean up. Kid loves doing this. So I let him clean up. Nice job, Max. I'm using a 1-2-3 block and a spacer block to give me my distance from the bottom of the board. And if I do that on all of these tie downs, I'm going to be the same distance from the bottom on each one. From there, I'm centering it over the screw hook, just eyeballing it, getting everything just right, and marking out the location. Including the screw holes. All right, then I've determined by measuring that I need 7/16 up from the bottom here. And then I'll divide this in half, which is 1.5 inches. Inch and a half. Strike a center line. Now, using a circle gauge, I found one that will create the proper recess for what I'm doing. So if I set the bottom of the circle on my mark, and I center it using the center lines on the jig, I've got a hole exactly where I need it. And we'll mark that out. Now this piece, in addition to the hole, has this contraption here. All right, so we've got to allow for clearance on that. So I'm going to set this here and eyeball what I need to clear these two posts, and then I'll just get those marked out here. I need this. And I'm going to need this. I need some space on the top here. We can eyeball that. It's going to be covered by the plate. All right, so everything in here and here and in here has to come out of this. So let's get going. I'm going to use a Bosch Colt router with a straight bit, and we're going to dig into this wood and recess that hole so that we have a nice mortise to accommodate our flush mount tie down.
Okay, so this might be a little difficult to see. I might be a little difficult to hear. I've got my dust mask on, but I started a hole, and I'm going to work the flush trim bit out to the perimeter. I'll try to get a little closer when I get there.
Trying to get you a detail shot here about how easily and accurately you can sneak up to these lines with a small router if you got enough light. And I've got enough light. This is a light right here. I need it that close for you guys. I can see it fine without this light, but I'm trying to get it so that you guys can see too. So let's hope this doesn't jiggle around too much. I may have to anchor it down a little bit. Let's give it a shot. You can see I'm able to get pretty close to that line. And I'm not in the right spot. I'm working backwards so I can get the camera in there. But that's just one idea of how close you can get to these lines. Let me do the rest off camera, and I'll come back and we'll take care of this square part. If you're interested in these ring pulls, they're made by National Hardware. They're called flush ring pulls, zinc plated, 3 by 3.5 inches. And then if you look on the back, there is a part number, and that is N as in Nancy 203-752, if you're interested. The next step was to take it out back and give it the old two-coat rattle can paint job, just to, give it a little bit of protection, but mainly so that it doesn't look so much like a piece of construction lumber sitting in the back of the truck. Just dress it up a little, get it to blend in with the black of the interior of the truck bed. All right, she's all painted up and I'm just getting the hardware back on. Took it off to paint it, figured I'd do it the right way. All right. I'm going with a little longer hardware, some longer screws here, stainless, than they gave me with the hold downs. Here's the difference. This is the one that came in the package. This is what I'm going with. Picking up about 1/4 inch. And the reason is that these screw holes are pretty close to the wood that I chopped down. In fact, this one overlapped a little bit. So I want to make sure my screw is long enough that I'm getting well down into the solid wood down here and not just depending on a grip up here. So let's get that going. Get that back. Put that in place. Let's see if we can't get this thing attached. That's a different screw that I had mixed in there. These are flatheads. That one's got a rounded head on it. We can't have that now, can we? I guess I got a mixture in here. I'll put that back in the same spot so I make the same mistake next time. Actually, I think there's quite a few of them, so I'll have a set of them if I need it. All right, that's in. And I got one more thing I want to try to accomplish here. In my last truck, I had a plastic bed liner that was had ridges from front to back that were, I don't know, 1/4 inch deep. They were generous. So any water that got in the truck would run right out the back as long as you're parked on, a slight incline, and right underneath the bed divider. This time it's not the case. I've got a spray-in liner and a bed mat, so this is going to sit right on that bed mat pretty tight. So what I want to do is step it up and put in some spacers to keep this off the floor of the truck, let air and water get underneath it and keep it dried out, prevent this from rotting. So let's get those things installed. I think we'll go right about here. They just nail in. These are not designed for exterior use. I think they're meant for desks and chairs and the like, but easily replaced if they do rot out. Let me get one more in, and then I will flip it over, give you a view of the whole thing. Okay, there's the finished project. Well, it will be once I install it in a few minutes. But you see we have 4 screw eyes across the top for tying things down, and then we got those 4 flush mounted tie downs to use as well. Sometimes like gas cans, if you in my old one, if I tied them down across the top one, it was a little tricky because it was a little out of balance, so I had to crisscross things. Now I can just go right across the middle ones. If I got something that's lower and the center is not going to line up with those upper screw eyes. You can see the standoffs on the bottom that I put in to keep it up off the bed. And something I haven't mentioned yet, but if you notice the ends are beveled. This end is beveled on the top. This end is beveled on the bottom. If you make one of these, it's going to depend on your truck. Now, the pockets in my old truck were in a plastic bed liner. They were generously deep and even generously wide. They were a little too wide probably, but and a plastic bed liner has some give, so it was very easy to get this thing in and out. New truck has a spray-in bed liner and not so deep pockets, so you have to cut this thing to pretty close tolerance lengthwise, and then you can't wedge it in and out easily, and I want to be able to take it in and out very easily. So by beveling the corners, it tilts in nicely and then settles right into place. So it's a good fit. All right, let me get this out in the truck and we'll see if we can get a few shots. Installed. Very easy to get in, very easy to get out. It sits secure. We're all good to go. And I love the way this came out. Nice tight fit. Those standoffs keep it up off the rubber bed mat. Plenty of anchor points, plenty of security. You can put the groceries in here and not have them all over the place. Let me show you another feature of this truck and why this comes in so handy.